Hi guys, we are into the fourth session of theme 9. Now we have what we have seen so far is about the origin of Mughals in India. Then we went on to see about how were the chronicles produced, or why were the chronicles commissioned. We saw. Then we saw Barsha Nama and Akbar Nama. Then we saw about um, the imperial divine kingdom. Then we saw the imperial Mughal cities, capital cities. Then we saw imperial court, Mughal imperial court. Then titles and awards we saw for our one markers. Then that was our last topic. Then we saw the imperial. Now we are going to see the imperial household. Who are the people who lived inside this Mughal palace, and what are their importance in the administration of Mughal empire? So that is the question all about. So this topic contains of two important questions. One is the very most important, which we will be discussing next. First question is, write a short note on imperial household. ये लिखना. ये आपको फर्स्ट 3 पैराग्राफ्स उसका आंसर रहेंगे. फोर्थ पैराग्राफ से एक दूसरा क्वेश्चन है जो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. Okay, so we will be dealing with only two questions in this session. The first one is, write a short note on imperial household. The term haram is frequently used to refer to the domestic world of the Mughals. So haram is the word used for the imperial domestic household inside. It originates from the Persian word called haram. Okay, meaning a sacred place. Very very important. What is the meaning of this word haram? It is a sacred place, holy place. The Mughal household who are the people consisted of this Mughal household? People consisting of this Mughal household is the emperor's wives and the concubines. Who are these concubines? Those people are those women who are kept as the keep, not the real wives, but as the keep of the emperor. Okay, and his near and distant relatives. They are also, this concubines is also women wives only, but not legal wives. Okay, so wives are legally, whereas concubines illegal. Okay, his near and distant relatives, mother, step and foster mother, sisters, daughters, daughter-in-laws, and children, etc. And the female servants and slaves. These are very very important. One marker में आ सकते हैं. मुगल household consists of which of the following? उसमें सब नाम दिया, all of the above है तो all of the above. इसमें एक नाम नहीं है, दूसरा कुछ और ऐड कर दिया. Then you have to be clear about what is added and what is not added, and all that you need to know. Please make sure, underline this. This is your first point. Okay, whereas this haram अंडर ये नहीं लिखोगे तो भी चलेगा, but ये first point आपको लिखना पड़ेगा. Very important. We all know during Mughal rule, it was polygamy which was practiced. Polygamy, polyandry. What is the difference? Polygamy, one man having many wives. So polygamy was practiced widely in the Indian subcontinent, even ruling groups के बीच में. Both for the Rajput clans as well as Mughals, marriage was a way of cementing political relationship. So Rajput, they used to give their daughters in marriage with the Mughals so that they can have a very solid political relationship. Cemented means solid political relationship with their allies. The gift of territory was also accompanied by the gift of the daughter in marriage. Yes, some territory is also given in alliance. To that, we have the best example is Jodha Akbar. This ensured the continuing hierarchical relationship between ruling groups. It was through this link, the marriage and the relationship that developed as a result of the Mughals was able to form a vast kinship network that linked the important groups that helped to hold a vast empire. Meaning nothing, but this is the meaning. This is the way of having a very solid relationship network with the local ruler as well as Mughals. ये point आप थोड़ा skip करोगे तो भी चलेगा. Now we are getting into the main point. So आपको केवल वो वाला who are all consisted in this Mughal household वो लिखना है. इसके बाद both Rajput clans and Mughals cementing political relationship, वो point second point के रूप में लिखना. Then we are directly going to this point. The Mughal household, a distinction was may always maintained between the wives who came from royal families, who are called as begums, and the other wives who are called as aghas. Like Jodha is considered to be agha. Okay, so person who came from, not coming from royal family, but are not of noble birth. Some maybe some Rajput. So, for example, a Mughal emperor marries a Rajput daughter. So that daughter, that wife, she is legally a wife, but she is called as not as a begum, but called as a aghas. Very very important. And the the begums married after receiving huge amounts of cash and valuable as a dowry. Dower means a dowry mahar. So whereas this begums get married to the emperor by receiving gift from the emperor. Dowry emperor देते हैं उनको शादी के लिए. Naturally received a higher status. So since they are receiving money from the and they received the higher status and greater attention from the husbands than did the aghas. Okay, these people who among the wives, two wives who claims the higher status, it is the begums, then the aghas. Now another group is called concubines, who are not legally married, but they are kept as the legal and illegal this one wives. They are called concubines. They are called agachas or lesser aghas. Okay, occupied the lowest position in the hierarchy of the female, intimately related to royalty. That means we have three hierarchy. Three. The first one, the top, we have begums, then we have aghas, then we have lesser aghas, yeah, agachas. So there is always conflict between these three groups. So this is the hierarchy of the intimately related, फीमेल इंटीमेटली रिलेटेड टू रॉयल्टी. मतलब एम्परर का जो फीमेल इंटीमेटली रिलेटेड ग्रुप्स है उनका हायरार्की है. They all received monthly allowances. Who? These aghas and agachas, they know monthly allowances in cash, supplemented with gifts according to their status. Not only this one, what is that? Begum. Not only this Agha and Agajas, they all, even Begums, then Agas and Agachas, all of them received money, no monthly allowances in cash or some gifts. Okay, according to their status. The lineage based on family structure was not entirely static. मतलब एक बार अगर आप मतलब आप बेगम है तो बेगम ही रहेंगे, अगा तो अगा ही रहेंगे, ऐसा नहीं है. The lineage based family structure was not entirely static. It's not no entirely permanent नहीं है. Now the aga and agajas could rise to the position of the begum depending on the husband's will. Very very important है. One mark में आपको twist करेंगे. Okay, so they, it's not that they cannot rise to the position of begum. Aga and agachas can claim to the position of begum if the husband, the emperor, wills, provided that he did not already have four wives. This is very very important. If he has already four begums, then no aga and agacha will have the opportunity to become begum. So only four begums can be there. So four, if he has only two begums, then this no aga and agachas can have the opportunity to claim or to become begum. Love and motherhood, love and motherhood played an important role in elevating such women to the status of legally wedded wives. Very very important. So we have discussed very important topic called a short note on imperial household. इसमें हमने देखा कि first we saw who are all included, and we saw all about three different types of wives and female intimately relations, then their hierarchy, then how they can claim the ladder if the will of the husband, emperor's will is there, and love and motherhood who played an important role in elevation of such positions. Fine. Now we are getting into a very important question, the role of women in the Mughal empire. The role of women in the Mughal empire, describe the role of women in the Mughal empire is the question. Apart from wives and numerous male and female slaves populated in the Mughal household, apart from all this, numerous male and female slaves also were part of this. The task they performed varied from the most mundane. Mundane means a regular, no regular activity, to those requiring skill, tact and intelligence. जो slaves होते थे, male and female slaves, वो no they did varied things, like no from daily activity, like cooking food and cleaning and all that. वहाँ से लेके even intelligence, skill and tact, even they used to go as a spy also. And the slave eunuchs, there are called slave eunuchs, who are considered to be neither male nor female eunuchs. They are called as Khwaja Sara, moved between the external and internal life of the household as guards, servants and also agents for women dabbling in commerce. So they were agents for women dabbling in commerce. Those who are dealing in commerce, women, Mughal women, they उनके लिए एक agents के रूप में भी ये these they all become they are these eunuchs act as agents for women dabbling in commerce, dealing in commerce. So this is about the first point about the role of actually this the role of women in Mughal actually I'm sorry the role of women in Mughal empire starts from answer starts from here उस ये वाला उसी में हाउस होल्ड में आ जाएगा ठीक है बिकॉज स्लेव्स आर पार्ट ऑफ imperial household so this point will become part of imperial household only I am sorry now the answer begins here the role of the women in Mughal court answer begins from here after Noor Jahan, Mughal queens and princesses began to control significant financial resources. Okay, so after Noor Jahan, Shah Jahan's daughters Jahanahara and Roshanhara Nara enjoyed annual income often equal to that of highly imperial mansabdars. Very very important. Second point. Okay, they used to have some financial income also. And Jahanara, in addition, received revenues from the port city of Surat, which was a lucrative center for overseas trade. She used to have some revenues from Surat also, attractive center of overseas trade. So she used to have some control over that also. This is the third point. Okay, and control over this resources enabled the important women of the Mughal household to commission buildings and gardens. One best example is Shahjahanabad. Okay, Jahanara participated many architectural projects of Shahjahanabad and double-storied caravan sarai, the courtyard and garden. All this. Now among this was and she is the one who made the architecture for all these projects like double storied caravan sarai with a courtyard and garden even the bazaar of Chandni Chowk was designed by Jahanara very very important okay she was a very bold lady and she was the these two daughters these two daughters of Shah Jahan Jahanara and Roshanara they participated in most of the Mughal. They had a lot of powers, and this is the role of women. Okay, when we talk about the role of women in Mughals, this is a topic which in this lesson the most important topic is this. Okay, so you need to know the role of women in Mughals. We have enough and more sources telling us the role of men emperors Akbar, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, and Jahangir, all that. But very few topics cover all this. So we have this topic telling us about the role of women. Okay. Then, as an interesting book gives us the glimpse to the domestic world of the Mughals is Humayun Nama. So we have a very important book called Humayun Nama written by Gulbadan Begum, very very important lady. Who is this Gulbadan Begum? Gulbadan Begum was the daughter of Babur and Humayun's sister and Akbar's aunt. So Akbar's aunt. So Humayun is the father of Akbar. So Akbar's sister Gulbadan becomes the aunt of Akbar. So it is Akbar who requested. Okay, so Gulbadan could write fluently Turkish and Persian. When Akbar commissioned Abul Fazl to write a history of his reign, he also requested his aunt to record her memoirs of early times under Babur and Humayun for Abul Fazl to draw upon. So he requested his aunt to first write about all that you know about Babur and Humayun so that Abul Fazl can draw upon. Abul Fazl can know better about the early histories, so that he can write my history well. So that is the reason that who requested Gulbadan to write this. It is Akbar. Okay. What Gulbadan wrote was not eulogy. Eulogy meaning shok geet. Somebody dies, something is written and read out in his favor on his in his name. That is called eulogy. You must have studied in English literature. So this no Babar Nama is not eulogy of the Mughal empire emperors. Rather, what is this all about? She described in great detail the conflicts and tensions among the princes and the kings and the important mediating role of elderly women of the family played in resolving all these conflicts. That is the Gulbadan Begum jo Babar Nama. It is not about eulogy for Babar Nama or Humayun, but it's all about the detailed conflicts and the tensions among the princes and kings and how they how the elderly women like Gulbadan mediated in the family issues and resolved some of these conflicts. So that is all about this Humayun Nama and her writings. So this all the role of the women, the role of the women in the imperial palace, in the household. So we in this we have to talk about after Nurjahan, they had a significant financial resources. For example, Jahanara and Roshanara. You have to talk about Jahanara, how she contribute, how she played an important role, controlled many of the things in the Mughal court and Mughal empire. Then directly going to Gulbadan. So very explicitly discussed about Jahanara, daughter of Shah Jahan, and Gulbadan, who is the aunt of Akbar. इन दोनों के बारे में इसमें अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है. और यू हैव टू राइट दिस इन एटलीस्ट 4-5 पॉइंट्स. ये शॉर्ट आंसर में ही आएंगे तो ये आपके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है. So we have discussed two important questions from this topic in this session. So I think this session helps you a lot with some important questions. Till I see you in the next session, all of you please take care. Bye bye.